Hello, everyone. This is Brenda Rose from My Paper Crafting Life, and I'm your Creative Memories Advisor. I wanted to come in today and actually create the beautiful page that you saw at the beginning of this video and show you how to splatter, how to ink, how to use this stencil. These are brand new products for Creative Memories, and I'm thrilled that we're bringing them into our product line. So the first set of inks we released are Potter's Clay, Lilac Posies, and Rich Cocoa. And as you can see, there's matching handled brushes with lids, so you don't need to make a mess. And secondly, so that you can always keep one brush for one ink. It's awesome. And then this beautiful falling leaf stencil is what we're going to use for this today. So let's move these inks out of the way. Today we'll just be using Potter's Clay and Rich Cocoa. And we're going to start by splattering a portion of our page with the Rich Cocoa ink. Now, something that I do that is really helpful to me is I bring in one of my embellishment bags that I'm no longer using. I always save those. And if you ever wonder, why do I need to save embellishment bags? This is why. So I'm going to go ahead and take this Rich Cocoa ink. It's really a nice dark brown. And I'm going to just rub some of this ink on the embellishment page. Now you can use your mat as well, your craft mat, which we also sell. This is a 13 by 13 mat and I love it. It's just the perfect size. But I like to use this only because I like to be able to pick this up and throw it away. So that's why I use that. Now I'm going to spritz that with a little bit of water. And then I have a number one brush. This is just a number one brush for splattering. I'm going to mix that up. And you see how we have that nice watery color? Now I have a piece of scrap paper because although I want my splattering to be down the left side, I don't necessarily want it to be all over. And so I'm going to turn this a little bit because I'm right-handed and I work better that way. And I'm going to pick up some paint. It actually makes your ink paint. And I'm just going to tap it off on my finger. It makes it so easy and kind of mess free. There's so many techniques out there for splattering, but I love this one because I stay clean. You don't have to be messy with inks. You can get very messy with inks, and it's fun to do for some techniques. But it's really nice when you're using a white background to be able to keep a clean finger. And see how that splatters on there so nicely? Now I'm going to go ahead, and I did get some over here, which is fine. I'm going to angle this scrap paper a little bit, and I'm going to splatter in this right bottom corner. I want some splatters over here because we're going to do some stenciling over here. So I can pick this up and look at, I've got this beautiful rich cocoa splatter over here and over here. Now, when I use an embellishment bag like this, I just simply spritz a little water and then clean my brush. And when it's all clean, I can put my brush away. I store them with the handle down, but look at that, the brush is clean now. And I can just pick this up and throw it away. It makes it so easy. Now, Memento ink is dye ink. It's fade resistant. It is acid free, so you're gonna like using this a lot. And it's works well on a lot of things. And so I think you're going to like it. I think I'm dry enough to get started on the next part. I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to pull out the stencil and show you how to tape those leaves off. Now there's a couple different tapes you can use. I use a white tape that I can simply pick up at Michael's. So this is just, I think it's $4.99 a roll. It's Recollections brand. And I do want to tell you that by the end of the fourth quarter, we will have uh, stencil tape with Creative Memories. And so you're not going to have to buy it anywhere other than with me. And that I love so much. So I'm going to tape off as much as I can without covering those leaves. It takes a little bit of tape to do this. So if you need some tape in the interim, you can also use washi tape. I want you to do something though when you use washi tape. I want you to test a piece of paper to make sure that it doesn't tear the paper, because not all washi tape is created equal. And so you might end up with some tears on your paper if you don't test it first. So this is a very low tack tape. And see, I need a little bit right here because we don't want those scallopy ends either. So now with this tape, you can use it over again. So generally when I use pieces like this, I just take it off and put it aside somewhere in my craft space, and I have it for the next project. But the most important part is that you tape this off like this. Now I want to bring in that splattered piece. Okay, we'll lift this up off my craft mat. And I want to bring in this piece, and we are going to put leaves all the way down, or all the way up, I guess, depending upon which way you look at it. Now this tape will also hold on there. It's not going to remove your ink or anything like that. Now I'm taking the brush that matches the Potter's Clay ink, and something that I do, I don't put this ink anywhere else. I like to reserve all my ink for the ink pad. And so I bring in a piece of scrap paper, and you'll see why I need that. I'm going to get my ink on my brush right here on the pad. And that brush fits this dewdrop pad perfectly. And then I'm going to pounce it off once so that I don't have such a heavy hand on the first one. And I'm actually going in a circular motion, okay? And just rubbing this stencil all the way up. And then I'll go back and I'll do it again. I don't want that kind of look on my leaves. And so that's why I pounce it off. If you don't, what can happen is you'll get a very harsh look in some places and not in the other. And here's the thing, when it comes to inking, you can always add more ink like I'm doing right now, but you can't take ink away. And so it's better to keep going over it until you achieve the depth that you want. And by going in a circular motion, you're going to have darkness on some edges of the leaves and lightness on the other. It's going to look like a true fall leaf. Now, let's pick this up. And you might have to adjust this tape once in a while. It's not meant to hold absolutely firm. And we're going to place it above those. Do you see I had taped it on here and not a bit of that ink came off? You don't have to worry. Now there might come times with stenciling where I don't want you to pounce it off, and that might be because I want a nice rich color on something. But for this, for the leaves, we want it pounced off so that you get this nice two-tone look in a circular motion. Now, if you're watching me and working along, and I hope you'll make this page because it's very, very simple once you know how to do it. I want you to stop when you're doing this. Pause me. You can pause me and then go ahead and finish your leaves or practice on a sheet first. Look at, isn't that looking beautiful? And you can see the splatter through there. I love that about it. Okay, I need to cover that up a little bit. I see I got a little dot right there, but we're going to take care of that. You don't even have to worry. Okay, now I've come to a point where I have just a partial leaf showing, and I don't really want that because I didn't have a partial leaf showing down there. You can if you want, it doesn't matter at all. But what I'm going to do is just tape that leaf off so that I only have 3 leaves. And you'll see stencil tape is, one of your best friends when you're doing this kind of thing. And then back in a circular motion. I find stenciling, if you know me, you know that I stencil a lot. And I love stenciling because it's a relaxing process. It's not hard to do. It's just a matter of taping it off, but it's just this circular motion that just relaxes your craft time. Now you'll also notice how I'm holding the brush. I've got my finger on that tip, on the end, so I can really hold that and have control. And I've got my hand in here. I'm not holding my brush like this. I don't have a lot of control that way. But if I move my hand up the handle of the brush and put a finger here, I'm going to have control over that brush on the blending brush. So now let's go ahead and move this because we're going to do something else fun. Oh, isn't that pretty, you guys? Oh, and now I'm going to remove some of this tape and I'm going to tape off here. Let's move this so I can make sure you see it in the camera. I'm going to tape off everything except that acorn. Okay, so I'm going to use just the tape that I have because that's going to be enough. And then I need a piece down here, but I'm not even going to be over here. So I can take that piece off and cover up that edge. Now we're going to just do the acorn. Oh, it's so fun to do this. So I'm going to close my potter's clay. You can just, even though you've used this brush, just snap the lid right on. So easy. I love it. And I'm going to grab my brush for my rich cocoa ink. Okay, this one, we want some pretty dark acorns. You do not have to pounce the ink off on this one. Okay, so we're just going to put acorns here and there around this area. Now I tend to go in a pretty big circle when I'm stenciling. I know this about myself. And if you know that about yourself and know that you won't stay within that area, tape off some more. There's a lot of tape on a roll. Now I'm going to take this ink and ink it up, and I'm just going to do a circle. And I'm actually holding the sides of the brush head now to get right in there with this ink. And I'm just going to ink it up. Oops, I moved my stencil just a teensy bit. That's okay. We're going to just go ahead and finish coloring it. And it barely shows, gives a little shadow. I'm okay with that. Be okay with the little shadows. It's all right. Okay. You know what's moving when I'm doing this? This was good. I'm going to take this craft mat out of here because my paper is sliding on the craft mat. The other thing that you can do is tape your page down if you don't want it to move. Because I'm pressing so hard on this acorn to give it such a nice rich cocoa color, you run the risk of that paper moving. And so I'm counting on the tape on the sides to hold it. But if it doesn't for some reason, just take a piece of tape and put along the edge of your paper. Okay? And so you see, by holding the sides of the brush with my middle finger and my thumb, and then pushing on here, I can really rub that ink into this. Now I'm going to speed me up so that you don't have to watch me stencil each and every acorn. But you can pause me so that you can do this and get your acorns around those leaves. It's such a pretty, pretty addition to the page. Okay, now that you have your acorns along the leaves, which isn't that a fun thing? And I absolutely love that by splattering first, you have some of that splatter on the leaves as well. Beautiful. Let's go ahead with our next step. And I'm going to set the stencil aside and cover up that rich cocoa ink because we're going to measure something on this paper that I want you to learn. Okay, I'm going to get my mat out and a pencil and a ruler, and I want you to set this down and draw or set your ruler 1 3/4 inches from the bottom, okay, and 3 inches from the right edge. So I've got my pencil here. So right about here is where the corner of the photo is going to be. So I'm going to put a little line right here, a light pencil line, and I'm going to turn my ruler and do a little bit of a line that comes to meet that. So you see, this is where when you put your photo on, let me grab my photo, you're going to have a photo right in that spot. Okay, so now let's do something really fun. We're going to take those, as long as we have our acorn already sectioned off, we're going to put a couple of acorns in this. Got a little bit of stencil tape that bent up, and that's okay. I want you to know something about stenciling. Stenciling is not perfection at all. There's never anything the same, or stenciling is just different every time. It's never going to land in the same place. It's never going to look the same as somebody else's. But we just are stenciling for the pure art and joy of it. So now I've got this acorn right here, and I'm going to stencil this acorn. I chose to do this first simply because we had it taped off already. See how I've got that right on the line, and you might not be able to see the line. And I'm going to grab my ink and do one more up here, kind of in a sideways. Doesn't really matter how you go. It's just where my stencil landed. And I want to lift this up so you can see how I have this. Hopefully that doesn't blur, how I have this line, and I've got a couple acorns around there. I think I might even want an acorn down in here. So let's go ahead and put one more. Okay. I just like the looks of them. They're so pretty. Now let's go ahead and ink that up again and put one more. Remember, holding the brush at the brush top you get a lot more control, and these brushes bend very nicely. So they move to your hand, and you're going to find out that it's a lot easier that way than it is to hold your brush out. You won't get near as much control. Now that I have those, I'm going to cap off my rich cocoa, cover it up and move it out of the way. And I'm going to use the large leaves on this stencil. So let's look at this stencil. I don't need to clean it off yet. If you want to clean it off, just take a paper towel. Don't use anything wet yet when you're still in the process of using it, and wipe it off. Just like that. That ink comes right off the stencil. Isn't that nice? You can also keep a microfiber cloth at your desk, which works very well for cleaning them. And that's all you need to do. Now I'm going to take this tape that I've already used. I'm going to block off that end so I don't get those scallops. Okay. I'm not quite ready to use those yet. We won't be using them on this project, but I just want them all blocked off. And then I want to block off this small leaf. See, I'm reusing all of this tape, and I might need to cut some of it because of the angles that I need. And I'm going to block off this one. And this one at an angle so that it covers those scallops. And then I want to cover this mum a little bit so that I don't go in there. All right. Now the next thing I want to do is go ahead and stencil some leaves, and you can go right over the corner of that pencil mark. Okay, and right up next to that acorn. And I'm just going to stencil this one first. So if you think this one will be in the way, simply take a piece of tape and put over it. Now we're back to the potter's clay and the leaves, so I'm going to pounce off after I ink it up. Okay? And then I'm going to blend this leaf. Remember what I said earlier, you can always add more ink, but you can't take ink away. So it's best to give it that pounce to get that dark section away from there, and then work in a circular motion. See how we have a leaf coming out of there? Now I want this bigger leaf to come off next to this, and it's going to go over the acorn a little bit. And we're just going to go ahead and ink that up as light or as dark as you want by adding layers of ink, not by starting off like we did with the acorns. I was glad to be able to show you two different ways to do things. Now you see how we're making this nice leaf corner? Let's just go ahead and keep this large leaf and add it right in there, going into that corner square. Pounce it off and go ahead and add more ink to this spot right here. You're going right up against those acorns, which is when you look at a tree, where are the acorns? They're right by the leaves. So it's good that you have this. All right. Look at that little cluster in the corner. Now let's check our photo to see if we have enough or if I want to add some more. We're going to put some embellishment in that corner above there, but look at how pretty that looks. I would be tempted to add one more leaf right here. So I'm going to turn this big one so that it's veering off to the right. And I'm going to put it a little bit inside those lines and ink up my brush, pounce it off, and go ahead in a circular motion. I'm putting a little more rubbing on the edge over there and then lightening up when I get here. So stenciling is all about your hand too. If you want to go with a light hand or a heavy hand, always start with the light hand to see what you like and then go from there. Okay, now we have this nice cluster, and just by drawing those pencil lines, we were able to do that. I'm going to cap off my brush, cover up my ink, and now I want to show you how to clean that stencil. Okay, it's so easy. I've got some tape over here. I'm going to get rid of this scrap paper because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to take off this tape and I'm just going to set it on the side of my desk, determine what I can use again, and throw the rest away. Now with the stencil, all I do is spritz some water on there. It's really handy to have a little bottle at your desk, a spritz bottle, when you're stenciling. And I'm just going to wipe it off. You can go through the trouble of, through the process of taking it to the sink and drying it off. But this is a dye ink. This is going to wipe right off your stencil so that you don't have to worry about getting it on anything else. And look at your stencil is clean and dry, just with a couple spritzes of water. Okay, let's bring that page back here. I don't need my craft mat anymore. Let's bring the page back here and let's finish it up. Now, what I did was I went ahead and did these leaves. We did that together. Now I'm going to add this photo. I want to grab my ruler so that I make sure I put the photo on straight. It's really easy not to. It's really easy to go crooked. So grab whatever ruler you use. And go ahead and grab your tape runner. I've got the jumbo tape runner, which will be back in November. We'll have them back in stock. And I'm going to line that up 3 inches from the edge and a 1 3/4 inches from the bottom. All these instructions, by the way, will be on my blog, and I will put the link for that there. Let me lift this up to make sure, yes, I'm straight. Okay, next I'm going to set this right here above, so we're right above it, but I'm going to take my pencil again and put a little line in the corner. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to use the sticker wreath. I've got my wheat laser cut border, which is beautiful. Is this beautiful or what? This is absolutely gorgeous. I would like a whole pack of those. And then we've got the leaf border, the leaf wreath right here on the sticker sheet. I want to put that on the corner of the picture. So I wanted to mark off where it was going to go. Okay, so it's going to go right there for us and right directly to the page. Now I don't have to worry that I put it in too far, not far enough. It's right next to that leaf border, and look at, I'm going to put my picture above the other one, and that wreath is in the perfect setting. So let's grab a little tape again. There isn't much paper on this, just this autumn brown. It's a print from Grateful Harvest and just 2 photo mats with it. When you stencil, you'll find that you don't use as much paper because you don't want to lose the beauty of the stenciling. Now we're going to grab a piece of this wheat right here. Oh, I had to use it in sections because it's just too pretty to use up the whole thing. And I'm going to cut off just the top of it. See how I've got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wheat heads on there. And this is where I'm going to tuck it under my mat a little bit. I need to get a tweezers and lift that up. Tuck it under my mat just a little bit so that that end is hidden. And I'm going to grab some glue. Now I use Barely, for those of you that don't know me, I use Barely Art liquid glue because it gives me such a fine amount of glue and I don't get glue on my hands. I love it. So it also dries clear. I'll put a link as to where you can get that as well. So I've got this nice wheat piece right here. Now I'm going to grab a sticker that says Autumn Life. And for this, I'm going to grab some 3D foam tape, and I want my anti-stick tool because wherever foam tape isn't, I want there to be anti-stick powder so that this embellishment doesn't move. It doesn't, how can I say this? Sometimes if you don't put enough tape and it's not anti-stick, that part will bend down into your page. And ask me how I know, because it happened. And so I'm very careful about making sure that I use an anti-stick tool. And this is just powder. Don't take your protector off of there. Leave that on there and just powder it up. And then everything that isn't under there, and see, this still comes out sticky. So now I'm going to put Autumn Life right up here. Look at that pretty embellishment corner. All going along with the movement of those falling leaves. That's perfect for this. Next, I'm going to put something down here. So I'm going to grab a wheat piece again, but I want the wheat piece. I think I'm going to end up cutting. I might have to do some, I'll take it from the bottom. And I'm going to cut in and make sure I don't have that rough edge on there. And I'm going to put that wheat piece coming up out of the leaves. Again, I will put some liquid glue on the back. You can certainly use your repositionable tape if you want. I like the firmness of the glue on there, but you use whatever you would like. And then I'm going to move that down so that it's right where I want it and kind of overlapping that mat a little bit. Next, I want to take the sticker that says Love Fall Most of All, and we're just going to put that in here to make a nice cluster. So you didn't use much of your wheat. This is a 12-inch border. We only used about 4 inches of it. So you have a lot left for another project. So let's get some, here it is, some 3D foam tape right here on this one. And again, we'll use that anti-stick tool to get off all the sticky around that tape. Now, I'm sitting here thinking that this goes down in the corner, and I put my weed up a little high. So I'm looking at my embellishments to see if there's one that I want to put, kind of, if I want to move this up here or if I want to tuck something down there. I'm going to put this up by the wheat. So this will go up higher on the photo. I told you nothing ever lands the same when you're stenciling. It always goes, you know, your stenciling should be unique and it should have something in it that is all you. And look at that. I can put that maple leaf right under the corner. But what I'm going to do is so that it sticks up just a little bit, I want it to have some movement. I'm going to put a little bit of 3D foam right in this corner, and that will prevent it from going completely flat on the page. Okay? And then the rest of it's going to stick down. So I'm going to tuck that under my corner and press that there, and look at how that sticks up and has a really nice movement to it. And that finishes off my corner. My friends, that is how you create the Falling Leaves stencil and ink page that I created for Creative Memories, and I had so much fun doing it. There are so many more stickers you can add. When I journaled these pictures, I journaled at the bottom. You've also got the side. Let that stenciling be the hero in your page. And I hope you've had great fun with this process. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and I'll talk to you soon.